The village of Itu was a big village with many natural resources and bountiful crops. Aside from being a village with many natural resources, Itu stood out amongst its neighboring villages as the village with many successful farmers and fishermen. It was true, since the major occupation in Itu village was farming and fishing, there were lots of successful farmers and fishermen. In the village of Itu, there lived a wealthy man named Yuzo. Yuzo was a wealthy fisherman who had many boats and young men working under him. He was also married to a beautiful wife, and they both had a son named Chima. Since Chima was Yuzo's only child, he and his wife took good care of him and provided him with everything he wanted. Even though Itu village did not have many good schools when Chima was still a child, Yuzo and his wife ensured that Chima went to the best primary school in their village. Because Yuzo and his wife were not educated, it had always been their dream to ensure that Chima got to the highest level of education, which was the university education. Thankfully, as Chima grew up, he enjoyed attending school and was eager to learn. On the days Chima was not in school, he would either assist his father or mother with a chore. Yuzo and his wife made sure that they trained Chima very well. They taught him to respect his elders and never look down on people who were not as rich as them. As a result, Chima was very friendly with the other village kids, and he never treated them like he was better than any of them. He would play with them, eat with them, and sometimes, even sleep in their homes. As Chima grew older, he had a best friend named Emeka. Emeka was the son of a man who worked for Yuzo, Chima's father. Not minding that Emeka was not from a wealthy home like him, Chima embraced Emeka with love, and they always hung out together. The only difference between Chima and Emeka was that Emeka did not go to school. Emeka's father was not rich enough to send Emeka to school because he had a lot of responsibilities to take care of, and sending Emeka or any of his siblings to school was not a part of it. So, whenever Chima returned from school, he would teach Emeka some of the things he had learned that day, and that was how Emeka knew more than some of his peers who didn't attend school. Also, Chima always treated Emeka like his equal. He shared everything he had with him, and he loved Emeka as if he were his biological brother. As Chima grew older, his bond with Emeka also waxed stronger, and almost everyone in the village knew they were best friends. In fact, if a stranger saw them, he or she could easily mistake Emeka and Chima for brothers because of how close they were. Meanwhile, in the village of Itu, there was also another wealthy family who lived there, Okoro, his wife and their daughter. Unlike the other villagers of Itu, who made their money either through farming or fishing, Okoro made his money in a different way. Okoro was a primary school teacher in the same school Chima attended, and he was a very respected man in the village. The reason almost all the villagers respected Okoro was because aside from being a teacher, which was considered as a noble job, Okoro was also one of the few educated people in Itu village, and the villagers respected him because of that. Coincidentally, Okoro's daughter Ada was in the same classroom as Chima, and they knew each other very well. When Chima was only 8 years old, he realized he had a crush on Ada and liked her very much. Because of her father's popularity in the village, almost all the children knew Ada, including Emeka, Chima's best friend. Since Chima and Emeka were best friends, Emeka was the first to know when Chima was crushing on Ada. Chima had told Emeka that he really liked Ada and that he wanted to get close to her. When Chima confided in his friend, Emeka, he had no idea that Emeka also liked Ada, and he wouldn't fold his hands to watch Chima win Ada's heart before him. Despite being just a year older than Chima, Emeka began to get jealous of Chima, his best friend. He was envious of all the fancy toys, clothes, shoes Chima had, and even the good food Chima ate. All this while Emeka was only pretending to be Chima's friend because of the benefits he got from him. So, when Chima told him about Ada, Emeka rushed to talk to Ada first. Unfortunately for Emeka, his plan to persuade Ada to be his friend did not work because Ada was different. Unlike Chima, who was friends with all kinds of people, both the rich and the poor, Ada was different. Ada only played or spoke with other educated children and avoided local village children like Emeka. When this happened, Emeka was very sad, but the most heartbreaking part was when he went to Chima's house one evening and saw Chima and Ada playing hide and seek together. That day, Chima's father invited Ada's father, Okoro, to their home, so when Okoro showed up, Ada was with him. Instead of Emeka joining his friend and playing, he did something that shocked everyone. Because he was already filled with anger and bitterness towards Chima, Emeka attacked Chima and wounded him badly, and unfortunately, that was the end of their friendship. Chima's father made it clear that he never wanted to see Emeka in his house or close to Chima in any way. In fact, to ensure that Emeka would not have an excuse to come to his house, he also fired Emeka's father from working with him. Even though Chima had lost his best friend, he also made a new friend that day. Unexpectedly, Ada and Chima became very close friends, and sometimes, they would sit next to each other in class. Whenever Chima could not do a difficult assignment, he would take it to Ada's father, and he would help him out. Doing this often slowly strengthened the bond of their friendship. Because of how close Chima and Ada became, sometimes, their parents would tease them and call them husband and wife. As the years passed, Ada and Chima grew older. When they became teenagers, they realized that they really liked each other, but none of them said anything, not even Chima. Eventually, they both completed their secondary school education, and after they were done, both of their parents suggested that they attend the same university so they could look out for each other. Little did Ada and Chima's parents know that they were only allowing the two teenagers to fall deeper in love. About a year after Ada and Chima completed their secondary school education, they gained admission to the same prestigious university, and they traveled down there together since it was in another state. Upon getting to the university, in their first year in school, Ada lived in the girls' hostel while Chima lived in a one-room apartment his parents had rented for him. Whenever the two of them were free, they would hang out together, and sometimes, they would go to the library to read together. In less than a year of being at the university, it was not difficult for other students to notice Ada and Chima's closeness. Aside from reading together and hanging out in their free time, Ada and Chima had lunch together every Wednesday. But despite being deeply in love with Ada, Chima never confessed his feelings to her until their third year in the university. When he finally told Ada how much he loved her and asked her to be his girlfriend, Ada said yes without hesitation. For their remaining years in school, their love waxed stronger until they graduated. Since Ada was studying a 5-year course at the university and Chima was studying a 4-year course, Chima graduated first before Ada. Luckily for him, less than 4 months after graduating, he got a job that paid well. Initially, before Chima got the job, he had intentions of returning to ITU village to manage his father's business, but after he got the job, he changed his mind. Although Chima's idea of returning to ITU village to manage his father's business was good, Ada did not like it. She had lived in ITU village all her life, and she wanted to settle down in the city. So, when Chima got the job and changed his mind about returning to the village, Ada was very happy. 1 year after Chima graduated from the university, Ada also graduated. Luckily for her, since she had studied English education, it was easier for Ada to find a job in one of the big schools in the city. Ada didn't even have to wait long to get a job. As soon as she submitted her job application, she received a response the following week, and she was hired. 2 years after Ada and Chima began working, Chima asked Ada to marry him, and Ada said yes. The two lovebirds knew they were financially buoyant to start a family, so they had no reason to keep delaying. Without wasting time, Ada and Chima returned to ITU village to do the necessary traditional rites for their marriage, and in less than a month of returning, they were traditionally married. Since Ada and Chima were their parents' only children, they both planned to have more than 2 kids. As children, aside from having friends, Ada and Chima used to feel incomplete and lonely because they did not have any siblings, which is why they wanted more than 2 children. Like every other newly married couple, Ada and Chima were excited about becoming parents, and Ada expected that she would get pregnant before the end of their first year, but that never happened. That first year, when Ada didn't get pregnant, she wasn't very worried because her mother had told her that it didn't mean anything. But when 2 years passed, and Ada could not still get pregnant, she became very worried and sad. "My husband, do you think something is wrong with me?" Ada asked Chima one evening while they were preparing to go to bed. "Why would you say such a thing?" Chima asked in shock, but when he saw Ada's sad face, he knew why she had asked. "Look, Ada, I have told you several times to stop worrying too much. God is the one who blesses couples with children. When it's His time, He will visit us," Chima said. "I know, but this wasn't the plan. By this time, I expected that I would be carrying our first child," Ada said sadly. "Baby, please stop. You're only overthinking it. We have only been married for 2 years. A child will come when the time is right," Chima said. "What if it doesn't?" Ada asked. "Being negative will not get you anywhere. Let's hope for the best and believe that we will also hear the cry of a baby in our home," Chima said. "Please stop worrying. I don't like it when you're sad," he added. "Okay, my husband. I have heard you. For now, I will keep drinking the herbs Mama recommended for me," Ada said. "That's fine. Please be happy. Look around you, you have many reasons to be happy. Don't let your inability to have a child yet rob you of your happiness, my wife," Chima said, and then he kissed Ada goodnight before he slept off. Even though Chima's words were not exactly what Ada wanted to hear, it helped her stay calm for a while. But when another 3 years passed, and Ada had not conceived even once, she could no longer sleep at night. "Ada, how many times have I told you that not having children is not the end of the world?" Chima said. That night, Chima woke up to Ada crying softly beside him. Without even asking why she was crying, Chima knew it had to do with her not getting pregnant yet. "It's been 5 years, Chima. 5 good years, and you're telling me there's nothing wrong with me," Ada said in a teary voice. "But we have been to several doctors, and you heard what they said. You are fine, and there is nothing wrong with you. Just be patient. I am very confident that we will have our own child soon," Chima tried to convince Ada. "It's easy for you to say, Chima. You don't understand how I feel. It's my responsibility as a woman to carry your babies, and I feel like I have failed you," Ada said. "My wife, you have not failed anyone. We have had the same conversation repeatedly, and I keep telling you we should wait for our time," Chima said. "This is what you'll say until your mother brings you a younger woman that will bear grandchildren for her," Ada said. Immediately after Ada said that, Chima burst into hearty laughter. "Ada, you know Mama can never do such a thing. Don't you know that she tried to have other children after me but she couldn't, so I'm sure she understands what you're going through," Chima said. "At least she had you. If I even had one child, I would be fine. The last time I went to the village, even small teenage girls were pregnant. But look at us. We live a comfortable life here in the city, but I can't even get pregnant," Ada said. "Babe, I am not complaining. Let us be patient. I am sure that when God blesses us, it will be double blessings," Chima said. But no matter what Chima said to convince Ada, she wouldn't stop crying or complaining. Unfortunately for Chima, things did not turn out as he had expected. Another 3 years passed, and Ada could still not conceive. By this time, Ada had cried all the tears she could, and she was tired of crying and questioning God. Ada knew that it was only a matter of time before Chima's family demanded that he marry another wife. Even though Chima's mother loved Ada like her own daughter, Ada knew that her mother-in-law and father-in-law desperately needed a grandchild, and they would not fold their hands and watch Chima stay without a child. So, Ada came up with a plan. It wasn't exactly what she loved, but she believed it was better than Chima's mother bringing a woman by herself. Sadly, Ada did not know that executing her plan would ultimately threaten her marriage with Chima. About a week after Ada came up with her plan, she told Chima about it. "Ada, forget about it, I'm not interested. I don't know why you are so stubborn. I have told you to wait that when the time is right, you will carry our baby," Chima said. "When will the time be right, Chima? When? It's been 8 years already," Ada cried. "My husband, please allow me to do this. I have failed you as a wife, and I just want to make things right," Ada begged. "No, you're not making things right. You're only making it worse. What's the difference between what you want to do and Mama bringing another wife for me?" Chima asked. "Oh, it's different. Oh, please just accept this. I know you said I should always be positive, but what if I stay for another 5 years and I still cannot bear you any children?" Ada asked, but Chima did not respond. "My husband, understand that I am doing this for us. I want you to be happy, and I have finally accepted my fate as a barren woman," Ada said. "I don't ever want to hear you call yourself barren again. Your life has not ended, and you still have many more years ahead of you to bear children. So, never call yourself barren again," Chima said. "Okay, I won't. But please, think about what I have said. It will be for our own good," Ada said. After careful consideration, Ada planned to return to Itu village to pick a young girl for Chima to marry, and impregnate her so they could have a child. Ada believed it was better for her to choose her husband's new wife than for her mother-in-law to bring another woman. But the problem was that Chima did not like the idea. Even though Chima and Ada had stayed for 8 years without a child, Chima didn't want to marry a second wife because he believed he would be betraying Ada. Are you enjoying this story? Let us know in the comment section below. Please, like, share and subscribe to our channel. Also, do not forget to turn on your notification button so you can get a buzz when next we upload new stories. After Ada had that conversation with Chima, almost every day, she would beg Chima to consider her offer. Initially, when Ada first told Chima about it, Chima tried to be calm with her, but when Ada kept insisting, Chima became very angry. "How many times have I told you that I'm not interested in marrying another woman?" Chima yelled at Ada one afternoon while they were home. Ada had gone to beg Chima again to consider her request, but Chima was clearly tired of hearing her talk about it. "Please, my husband. I understand what you mean, but if you do not want to do this for yourself, please do it for me," Ada cried. "I want to hear the cry of a baby in this house, even if it's not my baby," she added. "I know that you have said I should be patient, but you don't understand what I go through every day. Please, do this for me. I promise you that I will find and bring a good girl. I will even train her myself so she matches our social status," Ada begged. The last few weeks had already been full of Ada disturbing Chima and crying almost every day, and Chima wanted that to stop. So, after days of thinking about all Ada had said, he finally accepted her proposal. "Thank you so much, my husband. You don't know what this means to me," Ada thanked Chima. "Now that I have accepted, how do you plan on finding a decent girl who will agree to live in this house peacefully?" Chima asked. "Oh, that one is not a problem at all. Tomorrow, I will go to the village and do my investigations. Don't worry, my husband. Even if she is a village champion, I will transform her," Ada said. The following day, Ada traveled to Itu village and remained there for 1 week. During that week, Ada noticed some young girls, but one of the girls, Nneka, stood out from all the girls Ada had seen. Nneka was a very beautiful girl, and she was one of the few educated girls in Itu village. After Ada chose Nneka as the perfect wife material for Chima, she did some background checks on Nneka, and fortunately, Nneka came from a reputable family. Even though Nneka had gone to the village primary school and secondary school, Ada still had a lot of work to do on Nneka, and she didn't mind. After Ada stayed for a week in ITU village, she returned to the city and told Chima that she had found a perfect wife for him. Upon hearing that, Chima began to make preparations, and later that month, he traveled to ITU village and married his new bride. Before Chima married Nneka, Ada had already told Nneka everything, and Nneka agreed to marry Chima. After their wedding, Nneka, Ada and Chima returned to the city together, and that night, Nneka and Chima slept in the same room. Just as Ada had promised, after Nneka moved in with them in the city, Ada did her best to teach Nneka how to cook modern meals. She taught her how to speak well, bought her new clothes, shoes, and bags, and did everything to ensure that Nneka was very comfortable in her new house. As for Nneka, she was very humble and respectful, and she always helped out with the house chores. In fact, to Ada, Nneka was like an angel, and she wished she had found her years earlier. 2 months after Nneka and Chima got married, something remarkable happened. Nneka found out that she was pregnant, and when she told Chima and Ada about it, the couple were thrilled. Ada even cried tears of joy because everything was going according to her plan. To show her appreciation for getting pregnant, Ada instructed Nneka not to do a single thing at home. She also promised to take good care of her until she delivered the baby. In the following months, Ada did everything she could to make Nneka and her baby comfortable. Even though Ada had literally turned into Nneka's maid, she didn't mind. She ensured that Nneka always got enough rest, didn't lack anything, and was always happy. Depending on what Nneka craved, on some days, Ada would cook 3 different meals in a day just to satisfy her cravings, and on other days, she would run around to find the snacks and drinks Nneka wanted. Irrespective of the number of times Ada had to go out in a day, she never complained. In fact, with the way Ada was happy about Nneka's pregnancy, it was almost like she was Nneka's husband. Thankfully, everything went smoothly during Nneka's pregnancy. There were no complications, and at the end of 9 months, Nneka delivered a bouncy baby boy whom they named Dozy. When Dozy was born, Ada was very happy. She couldn't stop dancing with the newborn baby on the day he was born. Even after the mother and child returned home, Ada did not stop caring for them. She ensured that Nneka got enough rest while she took care of baby Dozy. Eventually, days after Nneka gave birth, some of her family members and friends from ITU village traveled to the city for her baby's naming ceremony. That day, when one of Nneka's friends from the village saw Ada holding Dozy, she dragged Nneka out of the house to ask her some questions. "Nneka, what is that witch doing with your son?" Nneka's friend asked. "I don't understand you. Who are you referring to?" Nneka asked in a confused tone. "I'm talking about your senior wife, that barren witch," Nneka's friend said. "Oh, how can you say such a thing? Ada is a very good woman, eh? If it weren't for her, I don't know how I would have coped with this pregnancy," Nneka said. "My friend, it's quite sad that you have eyes but cannot see," Nneka's friend said. "What do you mean by that?" Nneka asked. "Can't you see that your senior wife is a witch? She ate all the children in her womb, that's why she couldn't conceive. See, you better protect your child from that woman if you do not want to mourn him," Nneka's friend said. "God forbid, I will not mourn my baby. See, I don't think that Ada is a bad person. She has been very good to me and I know she would never hurt my son," Nneka said. "I pity you. You better open your eyes before it's too late. Do not be afraid of her, as far as you have given birth for Chima, that gives you a solid foot in this house," Nneka's friend said. "So, what do you suggest I do?" Nneka asked. "Let Ada know that you're in charge. You just gave birth to a boy, and you know how important male children are to us, so believe me, you have Chima's heart in your palms," Nneka's friend said. "But are you sure? Ada is a very good woman, and I don't think she deserves this," Nneka said. Whether she deserves it or not, you have to be smart. Or do you want to return to your miserable life in the village? Because that will happen in the long run if you don't start acting smart now, Nneka's friend said. Oh. Never, why would I leave this sweet life and return to the village where I was suffering? I will do exactly as you have said, Nneka said. Now you're talking. Show that barren witch that you're smarter than her, Nneka's friend said. With that, they returned to the party inside the house. After the party ended, that night, Nneka could not stop thinking about everything her friend had told her. God forbid I cannot go back to the village. I must remain in this house, Nneka soliloquized. The following morning, Nneka was still asleep when she suddenly heard Dozie crying from the living room. Because she was deeply asleep, she didn't hear when Ada entered her room and removed Dozie from the baby cot that was next to her bed. So, Nneka jumped out of her bed immediately and rushed to the living room. Give me my baby. Do you want to kill my son for me? Nneka asked Ada in an insulting tone. Nneka, is it me you're talking to like that? Ada asked in shock. Yes, I am talking to you. What do you want to do about it? Nneka said. Oh. Nneka, did you have a bad dream? I only brought Dozie here so I could feed him. He is crying because he is hungry and not because I did something bad to him, Ada tried to explain. Look, Ada, or whatever they call you. I don't want to see you anywhere close to my son anymore before you kill him, you barren witch, Nneka said. Nneka, how dare you talk to my wife like that? Chima's voice thundered from behind her. Ada and Nneka did not know that Chima was already downstairs. He was about to enter the living room when he heard Nneka speaking rudely to Ada. Oh. My husband, it's not what you think, Ada lied, but Chima had already heard everything. Do not try to defend her, I know what I heard, Chima said. Look here, let this be the first and last time you ever talk to my wife in that tone, else, you won't like what will happen. Now, apologize to her, Chima thundered. I'm sorry, Ada, Nneka said in a grumpy voice, and then she rudely left Ada and Chima. After Nneka apologized to Ada, Ada believed that Nneka would behave herself, but she was very wrong. Whenever Dozie was awake, Nneka would make sure that Ada never carried him or got close to him. As if that was not enough, Nneka began to compete with Ada for Chima's attention. For example, if Ada cooked dinner for everyone, Nneka would go back into the kitchen to cook something special for Chima. Then, if Ada asked Nneka why she was cooking again, Nneka would abuse Ada. It got to a point when Nneka's abuse became so much that Ada began to question herself concerning bringing in a second wife into her home. Initially, when Nneka suddenly changed, Ada believed that she could tolerate her and ignore her childishness, but when 6 months passed and Ada was tired of fighting Nneka every day, she was forced to talk to Chima. Chima, I don't think I can take this anymore. Nneka has made this house a living hell for me, Ada said. So what do you suggest I do? If you want me to send her away, I will gladly do that, Chima said. Oh. Chima, you cannot do that. Who will take care of Dozie if you do that? Ada said. Then what do you want me to do? Chima asked. Don't worry, I will try and talk to her tomorrow, Ada said. The following morning, Ada went to Nneka's room early to try to talk to Nneka, but something terrible happened. While Ada was trying to question Nneka about her sudden change in character, Nneka pushed Ada, and she fell so hard that she passed out. Thankfully, when Chima took Ada to the hospital, the doctor told him that it was nothing serious and then announced that he had something very important to tell the couple. Mr. and Mrs. Chima, congratulations, the doctor said. I don't understand, why are you congratulating us? Chima asked. Your wife, Ada, is pregnant with twins, the doctor broke the news. As soon as the doctor said that, Ada could not believe it and she began to cry uncontrollably. Ada even affirmed that she had been feeling different in the past few days, but it never crossed her mind to do a pregnancy test because she had given up on getting pregnant. As for Nneka, when Ada and Chima returned home, and Nneka heard that Ada was pregnant, she stopped being rude and begged Ada to forgive her. Nneka even explained to Ada that her friend had told her to become rude so that Ada and Chima would not send her back to the village. Because Ada really loved Nneka, she forgave her immediately, and the three of them went out to celebrate the new addition to their family. 9 months later, Ada gave birth to a bouncy baby boy and a girl. She named the girl Chioma, and she named the boy Nonso. Since Ada had reconciled with Nneka, Nneka helped Ada care for her babies, and she never disrespected Ada again. Nneka also stopped seeing her friend, who gave her bad advice. After several years of waiting, Ada's heart desire was granted, and she lived happily ever as one big happy family. Did you enjoy this story? Let us know in the comment section below. Please, like, share and subscribe to our channel. Also, do not forget to turn on your notification button so you can get a buzz when next we upload new stories. Thank you.